here today with Mike Turner, covering the areas covered in his speaking journey, mastering the art of selling. Mike, how are you? I want to jump right in. Talk to me
Yeah.
about mastering the art of selling.
Yeah, man. So, Ted, years ago, I began my sales career with Tom Hopkins out of Phoenix, Arizona, working for Results Seminars. And, man, I was already in sales at the time. But I never really understood how training and really putting, I guess you might say, some method behind the madness in place would really help me close more sales. And so that discovery, working with Tom, kind of gave me the passion to go back and help other people to do the same thing. And so I picked up on Tom's 7 steps in the sales process, which everybody's done since the beginning of time. There's nothing new under the sun there. But I love being able to accent them and help people drill down and really work on their key areas of concern and help people become top producers. And oftentimes people are just so close, they just need a little bit of help getting over the edge. It's kind of like a golf swing, just kind of correcting a few different things that you're doing wrong. And all of a sudden now you're able to really enjoy what you do. And not only that, but make more money at the same time.
Yeah. What is trust? What do you think about trust in the areas of selling, right? A lot of people look at salesmen, they hear the
Yeah.
word salesman and they're like, can I trust this? Like what would you say to people that were looking and going, how do you develop that trust area in looking at the art of selling?
Yeah. Mark Twain said, if you always tell the truth, you don't necessarily have to have a good memory. And I think, that's pretty much sums it up. And if you really just, kind of go at it with integrity and, decide up front that, okay, I'm not going to try to misrepresent anything. I'm not going to fall into temptation just because I'm trying to make this big, commission check. And just to understand that people, if they like you and trust you, they will buy from you. It's a proven fact that people buy with emotion and they come back and defend it with logic later on. Okay. And so that emotion is that like and trust that you develop right from the start. So it is so important, man.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Mike, the words career success, when you look at launch point skills for career success, can you unpack that for us?
Yeah, sure. The root of it comes from when I was beginning my own career and learning how to interview trial and error, just kind of beat my head against the wall. I had always heard dress for success. I mean, I've heard that I don't know how many times. If you always make a good first impression, it's a whole lot easier to sell yourself in a job interview. And then fast forward the tape after having done over probably 5,000 job interviews myself, placing people in new career positions through a company called Manning and Associates out of Atlanta, Georgia. One of the positions I held early in my career, I learned how to coach people to get the job, right? Except they were their desire was to go and generate the job offer so that they could have the right of refusal to say, well, I've got 3 job offers here. Which one do I want? And so I taught them how to go and generate that job offer. And in doing so, you got to learn how to sell yourself. And there's a whole lot of things that you need to put in your tool bag so that you understand when you walk through the door that you can be confident, that you feel good about presenting yourself to that potential employer. And then thirdly, you're confident enough to ask for that job at the end of the interview, which separates you from the pack in a big way.
Yeah, I love that. And listen, we know that a lot of young adults, I don't know if you, I mean, I would say by the time you graduated college, you hope that we've come out of the kid range to young adult. They've gone through all the processes, taken all the tests, invested all the money. And it's crazy to know that some of those people skills are keeping them from getting to their platform they want to be on. And so, how important is it to connect those two things for a person that's given so much time and effort to not be able to get some of these jobs because of lack of those easy things?
Sure. Yeah. Can I give you a practical example? Let me just show you something. You see where the VIN is on this coat right here?
Yes.
I wish I had a dollar for every time I saw somebody come in a job interview and they had bought a brand new jacket and they still had the stitching right there. Okay. So we're not talking about rocket science here. I'm not talking about some really high tech, subject matter. I'm talking about just practical skills that will help a young person in particular who's new to the job market, new to this whole interviewing thing, intimidated to begin with, right? To really go in and present themselves in a powerful and positive way so that the potential employers really look at them and going, wow, We need to consider this person. That's the goal.
Okay, so moving on. So leadership. Leadership is a big, broad topic. If you're talking about leadership to people, what is that?
Yeah, so I really feel like there's some individuality when it comes to leadership and when it comes to training leadership as well. And you need to be aligned with the right person who's got the leadership skills in the areas that you want to sharpen yourself in. For example, you need somebody who's had some failures and some successes in a particular niche that you're involved in because you want to hear how have they tackled certain problems that you're now facing. So it's kind of all relevant. You need to be able to dig down and have a good match there when it comes to hiring a speaker for an event that just wants to speak on the giant umbrella of leadership. But I think the main thing is understanding that everything in your organization rises and falls on leadership. And if you're following the wrong person, or if you have a leadership problem, what are you going to do if you don't attack that problem now? And that's what I feel like the difference making is in my presentations to that group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard it said that pace of the leader is pace of the team. And in this day and age, things just really do rise and fall on leadership. What about servant leadership with that statement? So, how important is servant leadership in today's leadership world?
Yeah, man, a great picture, I think, of servant leadership is one of my best friends, Ed. He's a big runner when he was early on in high school and college. Ed could just go run for miles. I weighed 198 pounds. I'm 5 foot 6 inches tall, and I needed to lose about 55 pounds. And Ed got me to start running, and he would pace me. And, so in order for me to really effectively, like, finish the run, he had to set the pace at such a place where it was challenging to me, but yet it wouldn't outrun me. And I feel like servant leadership, he was kinda sacrificing. He could have been out just, really just blowing the doors off of people, but he decided to take a step back and kinda dial it down a notch or 2 so that I could keep up and grow, and then I was able to run with him, if that makes sense. And I
Yeah.
think the same thing applies when it comes to servant leadership. You're willing to sort of take a few steps back and just kind of sacrifice maybe a little bit of progress on your own so you can get some other people to buy into your vision and make it even greater at the finish line.
Yeah, that's good. Mike, last but not least, faith and family values. Tell me a little bit about that and tell me how that kind of interweaves into some topics you might talk about in your speaking engagement.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking that question, Ted. All the topics that I cover really are kind of like a trip down memory lane from my entire life, to be honest with you. They're areas of my life that I've spent the most time and gained the most experience in. And in October of 1999, I gave my life to Christ, and it has affected every decision that I've made, whether it be in business, my personal life, everything that I do. And so it comes from years of my pastoral experience in leading churches. It comes from leading people to faith in Jesus Christ personally as an evangelist. And it also comes from my own personal prayer life, learning how to discern what is the will of God and knowing how to make the right decisions to get to the goals that I have set for myself or the plan that God has for me. And so if I really look back from 1999 on, it really has affected everything. And then if you look at all the other topics that I cover, you may not hear about them loud, I'll say, in every single setting, but they're under there. The biblical gold nuggets and the biblical wisdom affect everything that I do. And that's why I'm so passionate about that topic. So, in closing, I just want to take a minute to say thank you for taking the time to listen to my highlight reel today. These are the topics that I'm extremely passionate about, where I have the most life experience, and I feel strongly about being able to add value to your next event. Hey, listen, I'm always open to custom training. So, if you want to put in a request for that, I'd be glad to review any opportunity that you have. Otherwise, I will see you on the stages of America. Thank you so much.